In 2013, Aquatic Wetline made its debut as an aquarium hobbyist podcast. It was hosted by Aqua Alex Cardinale, an aquarium hobbyist with a passion for tropical fish since the age of 12.
Aquatic Wetline was very successful because Aqua Alex shared his love and passion for fish keeping like only he could. You could hear the love of fish and passion for caring and educating about the fish in his voice. It attracted new hobbyists and even experienced hobbyists to tune in.
Aquatic Wetline went on hiatus for a couple of years. Now Aqua Alex has brought it back, this time right here on YouTube. Aqua Alex will host new episodes of Aquatic Wetline Fish Keeping Podcast, but it will be in video format and you may get to see some of Aqua Alex's personal fish.
Aqua Alex will discuss everything aquarium related from fresh to salt. What aquarium topic is in the aquarium for discussion tonight? Let's find out. Fish keepers, if you enjoy the show, please share the YouTube video URL on your social media. Now here is Aqua Alex.
Hello tropical fish keepers, welcome to Aquatic Wetline here on my YouTube channel. I am your host, the one and the only South American fish keeper and monster fish keeper, Aqua Alex Cardinale. I started Aquatic Wetline in 2013 as an audio podcast, and now almost 10 years later, Aquatic Wetline is coming back as a video podcast here on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. So, my very first topic for Aquatic Wetline is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. It is aggressive fish and monster predatory fish. Now, I have been in the aquarium hobby since I was 12 years old, and I've kept everything from silver dollars to Oscar Cichlids to pacu, to red-tail cats, and aggressive cichlids like Parachromis, maniguense, etc. And I always been attracted to the large growing monster fish and the aggressive fish like tiger shovelnose, red-tail cats, Jaguar cichlids, arowanas, to name a few. Now, there are people that feel that monster fish don't belong in the aquarium hobby, but there's also people that love monster fish and provide them great homes. So the term aggressive fish has a lot of meaning. There are different types of aggressive fish. You have cichlids like Amphilophus red devils, Parachromis like Jaguar and Dovi. And then you've got other species of fish like wolffish, polypterus, and then the monster species as well. It is 100% possible to combine aggressive fish species in a large aquarium. Today, I am going to give you my 10 tips for combining aggressive fish in a community setting. I am going to use my experience and my knowledge to share how to successfully keep aggressive fish species together. Now, it could be aggressive cichlids that you're hoping to combine, or it could be any of the monster predatory fish that you are hoping to combine. I thought this would make for a good first topic on the return of Aquatic Wetline here on YouTube, and I think people are going to learn a lot from today's video. So, As always, you're welcome to interact in the comment section below. What are your tips for keeping aggressive fish together? Post them in the comments. This is a fish keeping hobby, and I welcome other people's knowledge and other people's experiences as well. So if you're an aggressive fish keeper or a monster fish keeper, let me know your tips for keeping aggressive fish together. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. So let's go ahead and get this show started. And the first topic I want to start with is the definition of aggressive fish. Now, aggressive fish is a term that has a broad range of answers. Aggressive means a fish that is mean. It could be mean for various reasons. It could be a territorial fish, or it could be a fish that does not tolerate other species of fish. So, some examples of aggressive fish would be cichlids. They could be South and Central American cichlids. They could be African cichlids. Most of the aggressive cichlids that are kept in the aquarium hobby are Africans. However, there are some really aggressive Central American cichlids like Parachromis dovi, Parachromis managuense, and Amphilophus species. All the Amphilophus that I know of, the red devil, the Midas, etc., they are all terribly aggressive fish. Flower horns would fit in with aggressive fish. And then obviously there are some predatory cherisins out there that could be considered aggressive. Piranhas, Pygrocentris, and Cerasalmus are definitely aggressive fish. Now, they're one of the fish that aren't going to be included on today's show because the chances of having tank mates successfully with piranhas in a home aquarium goes down drastically. It is virtually impossible to say for 100% certainty that you're going to be successful having piranhas with other fish, because the fact of the matter is there is no guarantee that piranhas will cohab successfully with other species of fish. Piranhas in nature are fin nippers, scale eaters, and they pick on weakened fish. So they're going to they're going to take that opportunity in the aquarium, and they're going to target other fish that they don't see as other piranhas. So piranhas definitely will not fall under our category today. And then, of course, there's the monster fish species like arowanas, silver arowanas, black arowanas, and Cardinale arowanas. Those are the three that are legal here in the United States of America, as well as the African arowana. Then there's red-tail cats, tiger shovelnose. So the monster fish, they're known as aggressive fish because they will eat just about anything that will fit in their mouth. So if they see it as food, they will eat it. Whereas cichlids, they're known as aggressive because they will beat other fish up in their aquarium. But there are ways to work around an aggressive cichlid and a hungry monster fish, and there are ways to make them work in a community setting. And we're going to talk about that right here on our show today. So why do I like aggressive fish? Well, aggressive fish have a lot of personality. They definitely do. Oscar cichlids are a fish that come to mind with a fish that shows personality. Red-tail cats, they love to eat, and they're a fish that shows a lot of personality when they're eating. Aggressive cichlids like to fight their reflection. So the biggest reason that I like aggressive fish is they have personality. They have personality that you don't get with smaller community fish. And a lot of the aggressive fish are actually very beautiful. The meaner the fish, the more colorful they are, it seems. So that is one of the reasons why I like aggressive fish as well. If you take a look at flower horns, some of them are very beautiful, but they are very mean. Some of the more natural cichlids, like a jaguar or a red devil, are beautiful, but they are very mean as well. So basically, it boils down to personality and color as for why I like cichlids. So we have a viewer in the house. Tabrika Aquatics is in the house. He says, "Hey, Aqua Alex, what's up, bro? Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy our live stream today." Piranhas are boring. All they do is sit there. Yes, that is very true. Piranhas are very boring fish to keep in the aquarium. They have a lot of hype, but I don't understand why they get so much hype. They're very boring. Albino silver arowanas are very, very cool. I actually have a regular silver arowana that I'm growing out for my 6-foot aquarium. You'll probably see them swim by in the video sometime. And don't forget intelligence. Yes, that's right. Aggressive fish are very intelligent. They recognize their owners, they know when it's feeding time, and they have certain tank mates that they don't like, and they will constantly chase that tank mate. But there's ways to reduce aggression in your aquarium. So let's get to our 10 tips right now. So the first tip I can give, if you want to keep any aggressive fish, be it cichlid or monster predatory fish, is to get the largest aquarium possible. So most aggressive fish in the aquarium hobby are going to reach over a foot, whether it's an Oscar cichlid, a red devil, a Parachromis, and any of the other monsters like the red-tailed cats, tigers, shovelnose, arowanas, polypterus, etc. They all get massive. So my biggest tip that I could give you if you want to start getting into the aggressive side of fish is to get the largest aquarium that you can afford. I would recommend as a starter aquarium for aggressive fish, a 75-gallon at the minimum. And then you can work your way up to 180, 220, etc. A 75-gallon would be the bare minimum to even consider keeping some of the more large aggressive fish like Oscar cichlids and some of the other cichlids that are out there. Now, in a 75-gallon, you could do one of these cichlids that will reach 12 to 14 inches, like a single Oscar or a Jack Dempsey or a Red Devil. They would do fine in a 75-gallon. But the problem is their aggression is going to limit how much fish you can put in a 75-gallon. So that's why I recommend getting the largest aquarium that you possibly can. My next tip is to research the aggressive species you want. Let's say you have pinpointed what you want to put in your aggressive tank. Let's say, for example, you want a Oscar and you want a Silver Arowana and you want a Jaguar cichlid and you've got a 150-gallon aquarium. Make sure you do your research because you would find out that a Silver Arowana would most likely get bullied by the Jaguar cichlid. You definitely don't want that because the Silver Arowana would end up dripping out of your aquarium and you would lose a very nice fish. I think a big problem in the monster fish hobby and the aggressive fish hobby is that people go to their pet stores, they see these beautiful, aggressive, large growing fish, they think they're very nice, but they don't realize that they can A, be really aggressive and territorial and cause havoc in your aquarium, and B, they grow large, and as they grow larger, they can become more aggressive. Like I said earlier, some of the more monster, large growing fish, like the silver arowanas, the red-tailed cats, tiger shovelnose, etc., they aren't aggressive, but what they are is monster. They're aggressive when it comes to eating, and they'll eat anything, including tank mates that will fit in their mouth. So that's where research comes in. You'll find out if it's an aggressive fish or if it's a fish that will grow large and will eat anything that will fit in its mouth. Daryl is in the house. My fish keeping friend Daryl is here. Hey, Daryl, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your view. Daryl also has a really good point. They also get very big and need space. Yes, that is very, very true. I agree with that statement. All right, so now we know to get the largest aquarium possible, we know we need to research if we want to keep aggressive large fish. My next tip for making it as successful as possible is to get the fish as juveniles and raise them together. This is actually really fun to do as an aquarium hobbyist. And personally speaking, as an aquarium hobbyist, I prefer to buy fish as juveniles, raise them, watch them grow up, watch them put on size, and watch them develop into their own personalities and their own coloration. I think it's a lot more fun that way, and I think you get a lot more enjoyment out of watching the fish grow as a juvenile. Now, one of the biggest benefits this has is that the fish can grow up together in their environment, and they'll sort of create a hierarchy. You'll have one aggressive species, and the rest will fall in line with that aggressive fish species, and you shouldn't really have any problems. Now, when people buy already large fish and they add it into an established aquarium with other large fish, there's going to be a fight for hierarchy because that large fish that has been in that aquarium for so long is going to defend his territory against that other new large fish, and that creates a lot of problems for fish keepers because oftentimes the existing large fish will continually beat up the new fish, and it may never come to an end, and he may end up killing that new fish or stressing him out bad, and he has to be replaced in a different aquarium. So one way you can work around that is to buy the aggressive fish as juveniles and raise them together in an aquarium. And that way they can grow up together, create the hierarchy, and the chances of them living peacefully together go up. My next tip is very important, even for community fish. Provide hiding spots and use decor. Now, for hiding spots and decor, you could use basically anything. You could use driftwood, you could use rocks that you find outside, as long as you boil them for about 30 minutes to kill any bacteria or any chemicals that may be harmful for your aquarium fish. So hiding spots, what they do is it gives your fish a place to hide, and they will get a sense of comfort for having that hiding spot. Now, you just don't want one hiding spot in your aquarium because one of the more aggressive fish is going to claim that as their territory. So in order to avoid that, you want to create as much hiding spots as you can. And you can do that by getting a whole bunch of rocks or aquarium ornaments or driftwood and placing them all over the aquarium. Now, what this does is not only is there places for all your fish to hide, but one fish cannot claim one particular territory. It still may, but the other fish will have opportunity to claim territories as well, and that will lessen the chance of aggression as well. Floating plants are great with monster fish and aggressive fish as well. So really, in any aquarium, we should be providing hiding spots and decor, but with aggressive cichlids and aggressive fish, hiding spots and decor is really, really important. All right, so the next tip is one of my favorite tips because I get to use one of my favorite South American fish for this exact reason. We want to use ditherfish in an aggressive aquarium. Now, what are ditherfish, you may ask? Well, ditherfish are generally schooling fish that you would use to entice hiding fish or very shy fish to come out from hiding. But in an aggressive aquarium, ditherfish are used to stop an aggressive fish from targeting other fish. That aggressive fish would target that schooling fish. And because there's a large number of schooling fish, it would be hard for that aggressive fish to single out one particular fish. So in an aggressive tank, ditherfish has its advantage because it will have a number of fish that aggressive fish can target, and it will leave the other fish alone. So some good ditherfish species would include silver dollars, and my personal favorite silver dollars are the Mylius species. Mylius rubberapinus, the red hook silver dollar, Mylius gumberki, the wide bar and thin bar silver dollar. You could also do any of the Mentinus silver dollars. Tinfoil barbs, because we are talking about large fish. So tinfoil barbs get pretty big. They do great as a dither fish. Giant danios, bala sharks, roseline sharks are good, but keep in mind they can be picked off as your larger fish get older, and that could be very, very expensive to keep replacing them. So always keep that in mind. Convicts, believe it or not, in a cichlid aquarium, convicts can be used as a ditherfish. And they constantly breed. They're horny little bastards. Convicts are always having sex and they're always reproducing. So you'll get fresh food for your other aggressive fish. But in a aggressive tank, ditherfish are very beneficial and they will help you keep aggressive fish together successfully. Tabaric Aquatic says, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, I apologize for that, but Tabaric Aquatic says, when you want to add fish to the aquarium, add 3 at a time. Even if they are 3 different fish, it will confuse the established tank mates as who to pick on. Yes, very, very true. When you are adding new fish, try to add more than one, because when you add one, that fish will be singled out. But if you add 3 or more, then the fish will be very confused. They won't know who to pick on. So that's a very true. I'm glad you pointed that out. It spreads the new fish hierarchy aggression. Yes, very, very true. That was a great point. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So the next tip I have for you is a tip that a lot of people are probably going to shake their head on or disagree with me on. A lot of people do this in the aquarium hobby, and I don't agree with it because there really is no particular reason to do it, especially considering it can cause parasites to Oscars. Oscars are known to get hole in the head from this, and other fish like cichlids can get hole in the head from it as well. So my next tip is to never feed live fish to your aggressive species. So things like Oscars, wolffish, gars, arowanas, and monster catfish, they don't need to eat live fish. You can get them onto dead fish and other types of fish food. Feeder goldfish are really popular, and people go to Petco, PetSmart, and their fish stores and buy a whole bunch of them. But feeding feeder goldfish is a terrible idea because they have a fatty enzyme in them I think it's called Taiwanese or something like that, that once a predatory fish eats that, it builds up in their body, and too much of that acid will cause hole in the head in Oscars, wolffish, and other types of fish that can get hole in the head. And hole in the head is a very painful disease. It's very similar to cancer in humans, and it is very preventable. One way to prevent hole in the head is to never feed live fish. Now, I'm not saying that you can't use convicts, guppies, or tetras as an occasional treat. What I'm saying is do not use feeder goldfish or live fish as a staple and the main part of that fish's diet, because it will do a couple of things. One of the things is it will build up fatty acids in that fish, and that fish will live an unhealthy, unhappy, short life. And two, it will lessen the chance of you having tank mates successfully. If you feed your aggressive fish live fish and you buy a smaller tank mate, the chances go up that those fish are going to see that new tank mate as dinner and as lunch, and they're going to harass them. I have learned that from experience. I actually did an experience a couple years ago. I had an Oscar that I was raising, and I fed him some small tetras and guppies, and I wanted to see how he would act if I added in smaller cichlids. And guess what? He tried to eat them, and that was because he was getting live fish. So if you want to have a successful aggressive fish community, do not feed live fish and expect to have tank mates, because those fish are going to be used to their natural instinct of hunting. And when you provide them those small fish to eat, they're going to think of everything you add into the tank as food, unless it is way too big. But then your chances of adding smaller fish successfully goes down drastically. So never feed live fish and expect to have tank mates with aggressive fish when you feed them live foods. Tinfoil barbs are not good for arowana tank mates because tinfoil barbs are jumpy and will make the arowana jump too. Yes, very, very true. That is right. Plus, tinfoil barbs can be somewhat nippy, so they would try to nip at the arowana. I actually have some tiger barbs in with my juvenile arowana, and so far so good. But if I ever catch my tiger barbs getting nippy, they will go in my predatory tank and they will become food. But luckily, so far so good. I think with barbs, if you have a dozen or more, and there is so many of them, their aggression goes towards the other barbs and not the other fish. But with tinfoil barbs, with them growing a foot, in order to have a dozen of them, you would need a massive, massive pond or a lake. Feeding live fish makes your aggressive fish more aggressive. Yes, that is very true. And as a matter of fact, from a local fish store owner in Massachusetts had once told me at his fish store, he actually starved his fish for quite a while. Why? Because it would be more active. And when he threw in feeder goldfish, it would strike instantly, and it would perhaps entice monster fish keepers to buy that fish more if then when that fish he was selling was eating pellets and krill and stuff. So that's a tactic that some fish stores will sometimes do, is they will feed live fish so that the thing is more aggressive when people see it, and it entices monster fish keepers to get it. My friend Daryl says, I do not feed live fish to my aggressive or monster fish. I don't usually either, and when I do, it's only for a treat or something like that. Like if I'm stuck with 1,000 baby convicts like I was the other day, I gave it to my black wolf and he took care of them. That's the only time he'll ever get live food. I don't like feeding live fish because it introduces the risk of parasites and illnesses. Mad Cypress is in the house. How you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're having a great evening. All right, so I'm going to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, I have 4 more awesome tips for you that will help you be successful in keeping aggressive monster fish together. So this commercial break is being brought to you by Little Egypt Aquarium Club and Aquatic and Exotic. So we'll be right back with more awesome tropical fish chat right here on Aquatic Wetline. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
Are you a tropical fish keeper living in South Florida? You need to check out Aquatic and Exotic in Stuart, Florida. Aquatic and Exotic is home to quality freshwater and saltwater tropical fish. You will find African cichlids, South and Central American cichlids, goldfish and koi, and exotic fish. We also supply aquarium supplies like filters and heaters, aquariums, and lights. We also have quality fish food brands. Aquatic and Exotic is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Questions? Give us a call at 772-781-4046. Stop on by and check us out. 1525 A.C.E. Lockhart Street, Stuart, Florida 34994.
Aqua Alex here, and I'm proud to partner with Little Egypt Aquarium Club. Little Egypt Aquarium Club was founded by my friend Jeremy Stellhorn. Little Egypt Aquarium Club provides aquarium hobbyists with quality aquarium supplies. You will find sponge filters, pleco caves, and so much more. Little Egypt Aquarium Club also has quality fish foods. You'll find things like rapashi. Rapashi is a name brand fish food, perfect for placostomus, community fish, and even monster fish. You'll find medicated fish foods as well. Aqua Alex and Jeremy Stellhorn are teaming up to save you some money. If you use my discount code, which is Alex, you will get 10% off your order. So go to littleegyptaquariumclub.com right now, place an order, and use coupon code Alex, and you will save 10% on your order. Now back to the fish chat. It's the one and only Aqua Alex Cardinale here, inviting you to be a part of the August 2022 Fish Keepers Q&A. If you have any freshwater or saltwater questions that you would like me, Aqua Alex, to answer, please email them to alexgoyankiescardinale19@gmail.com. The August 2022 Fish Keepers Q&A is going to air live Sunday, August 28th, 2022 at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinale. I will answer your fish keeping questions. I also have some fun topics planned. I'm going to talk about how to safely move with aquariums and tropical fish. I'll talk about snail eating fish like clown loaches, and I will talk about how to diagnose and cure ick. Also, there's the Fish Keeper show off this month, and I'm going to show off my new 55-gallon aquarium with some of the fish that are behind me. Send photos and videos of your aquarium to alexgoyankiescardinale19@gmail.com for the Fish Keepers show off. I will see you Sunday, August 28th, 2022, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Email your fish keeping questions and photos and videos of your fish to Alex Go Yankees Cardinale19 at gmail.com. All right, welcome back to Aquatic Wetline here on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. Today, I am giving you my tips for keeping aggressive fish in a community setting successfully. So before the commercial break, I gave you my first 6 tips, and now I'm going to conclude the show with my final 4 tips. So let's get right back into it. My next tip is keep the fish well fed. Well fed fish have no reason to be aggressive because they should be very full and stuffed with food. Now, I'm not saying overfeed your fish. You never want to overfeed your fish. Overfeeding fish will cause dirty water and it will cause health issues. So what I do recommend is doing multiple feedings throughout the day, small feedings, maybe 2 or 3 feedings each day. The first feeding should be pellet food and frozen food. So your first feeding could be things like Aquatic Cichlid pellets or other pellets that are designed for aggressive fish. And you could also do frozen bloodworms, mysis shrimp, etc. And then towards the night, you can do market shrimp, raw market shrimp. We always want to make sure we're feeding our fish raw market shrimp. Never feed cooked shrimp because there's a lot of nitrates in cooked shrimp, and that is harmful to our aquarium water and the tropical fish. So it should always be market shrimp that we are giving our fish, raw market shrimp that we're giving them. So at nighttime, that's when I feed the high protein foods. That would be the raw market shrimp, as I talked about. That would be tilapia. Tilapia is a great food source for these monster fish and these aggressive fish. That would also be the time to feed earthworms. Earthworms have a lot of benefits for tropical fish. So when you can find earthworms, I know Walmart for many years sold them, but for some reason it's been hard to find earthworms at Walmart. I've had to travel through different Walmarts in Palm Beach County, but I was finally able to find one that had earthworms, but it was like $6 or $7 when years ago it was like 2 or 3. But I do feed my fish earthworms, and I've noticed with particular monster fish species like wolffish, polypterus, catfish species even, pike cichlids, and other cichlids like Oscars, they tend to grow a lot quicker when they're fed earthworms and market shrimp and tilapia. So that's what I recommend feeding aggressive fish. So I recommend feeding them pellets and other foods, maybe in the early morning, afternoon. So 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. would be a good time to feed them the dry foods. And then maybe like 8, 9 p.m. at night when it's dark out would be a good time to feed the market shrimp, tilapia, and the earthworms, a very good protein diet. And the fish will go to bed with a full stomach. And when fish are well fed, there's no reason for them to go after other fish or try to eat each other because they are well fed. So my next tip is a tip that I use just in case there is aggression in the aquarium. And that is, if aggression does break out, the first thing you should do is rearrange the aquarium. Change the decor around. Maybe change the background. I find the black background really helps smooth things out, and it really confuses the fish for a little while. Then they get used to it. So with aggressive cichlids, it's not always going to be successful. There's going to be some cichlids that don't tolerate other fish. But by changing their environment, they're going to be thinking they're in a new aquarium when you move the rocks around, when you put a new background on, or you catch the aggressor and put him in a bucket for a while you rearrange the aquarium. That is a old school fish keeping trick that I was taught by someone that is a senior in the aquarium hobby. He always told me, if you have an aggressive fish that is being nonstop aggressive, take him out of the tank, put him in a bucket, rearrange the tank, replace the decor, maybe change the background, maybe add some more floating plants, more decor, and make the tank look brand new. And then maybe a half hour or 45 minutes later, add that aggressive fish back to the tank. And in my experience, about 8 out of 10 times, that has worked because it's like a new environment for that aggressive fish that he's going into. So if you ever have a fish that is being aggressive, even if they grew up together and you did all the tips that I mentioned, try to rearrange the aquarium. All right, so my next tip is going to stop interspecies aggression and aggression in general. And that is, try not to keep same species together if they are not a schooling species. And what I mean by this is common sense. Try not to keep two Jaguar cichlids together, or two red devils together, or two Oscars together, or two Silver Arowanas together, because they will continuously fight, and they will fight to the death because they are a territorial species. So I do not recommend keeping them together if they are not a schooling species. They may live together in the wild, but that's the wild where they have plenty of room to roam and plenty of room to get away from each other. However, if you are bound and determined to have the same species together, you're going to need to do more than two, more than three also. You're going to want to keep it in even numbers. So I would recommend 4 of the same species, 6 of the same species, etc. That will help balance out the aggression, but there is no guarantee that it will work. Now, a personal example of mine, my large tiger Oscar, that's in my 125, he does not stand for any other Oscar being in the 125. I tried adding a albino tiger that was about, I think he was 6 or 7 inches, and that poor Oscar got dominated by the tiger Oscar. Now, my tiger Oscar is totally fine with any other fish. He won't bother my black bar silver dollars. He won't bother the fieste. He won't bother the severums or any fish that I have in there. But I guarantee you, if I added an Oscar in there, he probably would kill it overnight or he would torment it. It's almost like he's saying, I want to be the alpha Oscar in this house. I want to be the only Oscar in this tank. And I respect that. I like my tiger Oscar. And I have to be honest here. He is probably the only Oscar that I've gotten that I want to keep until he passes on. He's got a lot of personality. He eats from my hand. He knows when it's feeding time. And believe it or not, he prefers pellet and dry foods more than tilapia and shrimp. He will eat tilapia and shrimp, but he does prefer the pellets and the dry food. And I think that is because he is captive raised. But it's really interesting. He's a very beautiful tiger Oscar as well. So as I was saying, try not to keep same species together if they are not a schooling species, because 9 times out of 10, it will not work out. However, with tiger shovelnose, red-tailed cats, arowanas, they probably will work out, but the problem is they get massive. So you have to figure out how to room one, not let alone one, but you have to figure out how you're going to room the others that you have together with them. So that's why I always say try not to keep large monsters, same species together, because now you got to figure out how you're going to home 2 or 3 silver arrows, for example. So hopefully that made sense. And my last tip, and this tip is beneficial for community fish as well, but with large aggressive fish and large monster fish, it is very important that you do water changes frequently. With large aggressive fish and large monster fish, the more they eat, the more waste they're producing, the more poop they produce. So you're going to need to do a lot more water changes. On my 125, I do 2 water changes a week, and I have to clean my filters frequently as well. The cleaner the water, the happier and healthier the fish. So water changes need to be done more frequently in aggressive tanks and monster fish tanks than community tanks. And that's because these fish produce more waste, they eat a lot more, and they grow a lot more than your community fish. So make sure we are doing water changes frequently and we're keeping our filters clean. Every month or so, we should be replacing filter pads and filter media. All right, so those are all of my tips that I have for you for keeping aggressive fish together in a large aquarium. I think you guys will be able to keep aggressive fish together if you follow all of my tips, especially the largest aquarium that you can provide. Research is very important. Buying them as juveniles and growing them out together is very important. The decor and having places for each fish to hide is very important. And not feeding live food or live fish is very important as well. I had a lot of fun hosting Aquatic Wetline as a video podcast. The last time I hosted Aquatic Wetline was as an audio podcast, and audio podcasts are cool and all, but they're not as fun as a video podcast because you get to see the fish behind me, which is pretty cool. So hopefully Aquatic Wetline on YouTube will be as successful as my audio podcast were. As you can see, my Silver Arowana is begging for his food. He is getting used to me feeding him market shrimp around 10 p.m. So after I end our video, I'm going to feed my arowana and then my fish in the 125-gallon aquarium. So with that being said, I would like to thank everybody that tuned into the relaunch of Aquatic Wetline. Whether you watch this video live or you're catching a replay of today's video, I greatly appreciate your view. Thank you, fish keepers, for watching this episode of Aquatic Wetline. The next episode of Aquatic Wetline is going to be tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about the basics of keeping freshwater angelfish. I'm going to start tomorrow's video by showing off my koi angel and my panda angel, and then I will give you my tips and tricks for raising freshwater angelfish based on my experience and my knowledge. So join me tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, to learn about freshwater angelfish. And don't forget, my Fish Keepers Q&A, Ask Aqua Alex Live, airs in a couple of weeks, Sunday, August 28th, 2022, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Email your freshwater and saltwater questions to AlexGoyankiesCardinale19@gmail.com. And also email some photos and videos of your tropical fish so I can show them off in the Fish Keepers Show Off. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. Daryl says, thank you, great show. Thank you, Daryl, for tuning in. It means a lot to me. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. So fish keepers, thank you for watching. Don't forget, if you're new to my YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. Enjoy the aquarium hobby and enjoy your aquarium fish. Feed them a good diet and do water changes. Remember, clean water equals happy, healthy fish. Good night, everybody.